Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I have a little bit of like a thrifted story time for you guys because I found a really epic thrift find, not all because of me. I had a friend kind of tell me about it and I feel like you guys need to kind of hear the story. Some of you guys might have heard about this on my Instagram stories, but I thought I'd make it into a video. And also at the end of this video, I'm gonna give you guys my 5 best tips for authenticating designer items at the thrift store, because I get asked this all the time, and as you guys probably know if you follow me on Instagram, I'm super passionate about authentic items. Obviously I can't sell anything that's fake because it's against Poshmark policy, but also because it's super sketchy and not good for the earth and not good for anyone really. So I can go into depth in a different video about all the things that are wrong with buying counterfeit designer items. And I've seen a lot of thrifters who make videos about kind of like finding knockoff items, and that is just not me at all, and I just am not supportive of that whatsoever. So I kind of wanted to make a video kind of telling you guys a story about this awesome find and also giving you guys some tips to authenticate when you guys are out in the thrift store. So if that sounds interesting, then stay tuned. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start by telling you guys about this awesome story. And obviously, I'm at the thrift store all the time for Poshmark. I'm always looking for new inventory and I'm digging through the racks and looking for awesome stuff in general, but this particular story was extra epic because I'm going to be keeping this item, and also my friend who I made at Goodwill actually informed me about this. So basically, one day I'm just randomly shopping at Goodwill and I had this girl walk up to me and say, hey, do you make YouTube videos? And I'm like, oh yeah, I do actually. And she was like super nice about it, said she watched my channel and thought about getting into reselling, etc. So anyway, she was super nice about it and she was super cool, close to my age, and we became friends. So a couple times after that, I saw her again and she ended up giving me a pair of shoes to sell, which is like a pair of Cole Haan like platform sandals that I actually thought were really cool and are currently listed in my Poshmark closet. But she's just always been super nice. I see her at Goodwill all the time and she's always helping me out and asking me questions about Poshmark and things like that. So we kind of became friends. And so one day, it's like a random afternoon and I am loading up my car with groceries and I'm at Walmart and I get an Instagram message from my friend Katie basically saying, you need to get to Goodwill. And I'm like, okay, because I'm like, what is going on? Did they just put out like a really cool new rack of stuff, or like what's going on? But I trusted that she probably knew what she was talking about, so I was just like, okay, I'm gonna get in my car and just race over there because I was already out of the house anyways. So as I'm on my way, she tells me, hey, they put a bunch of cool Coach stuff out. So at first I'm like, okay, I'm not really a big fan of Coach and I don't really know if this is gonna be something that I like, but I think I should go check it out anyways. But she messages me and was like, yeah, the bag was like super new. It was like really recent and it smelled awesome. Like it was like a super recent season and the leather was really nice. So then I'm getting really excited because I'm like, okay, Coach has a new creative director, their new products are amazing, and also the price point has gone up substantially since they switched creative directors. So with all that being said, I'm like, okay, I definitely have to hurry and go check this out. Anyways, so I get there and I'm basically checking out all the new items. They just put a bunch of bags out, and our Goodwills are really good about like checking stuff, and they also know how to look stuff up. So if they don't recognize the brand or something like that, they can always look it up and price it differently. We have lots of markups in our stores. This isn't like unusual for them to know what they're doing. So I get there and there's a bunch of Coach products, a lot of things that I probably wouldn't buy because they're a little more dated or not really something that I needed. But at first I found a little pouch that actually already sold on Poshmark that I ended up purchasing. And I also found a Coach whip stitch bag. And if you guys saw this on my Instagram stories, this bag is incredibly insane. Like I can't even describe it to you. I'm about to show it to you in just a second. But this bag was everything. It was sitting inside the case and I was basically just like, that can't possibly be, like, that can't be real, that can't be there, like, this is amazing, like, I cannot believe this is here. So, anyways, I end up getting it out of the case, looking at it, and buying it, and I ended up thinking I'm gonna keep it for myself. So, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys that now. Alright, so, big reveal. Here is the bag. It is, like, the prettiest color of, like, plummy purple, and then it has like the coolest marigold mustard colored leather, and then it also has the mustardy marigold interior as well that is suede. And you guys are not gonna believe this. This is still on the Coach website for $850. It is still full price on their website with a 5-star review. I am not joking or exaggerating. If you wanna look it up, be my guest, because it's literally on the Coach website for $850 currently. So obviously I'm in shock, and all the new Coach products, like I said, are so pretty, and I was just like amazed to find this. And Coach, like I said, is not my favorite brand, but with the new creative director, you know, the brand has just completely done a 180, and I was just completely shocked by just like what an amazing bag this is, and just like how pretty it is and all the beautiful details. And you know, it has the logo and the hardware, and it's very subtle. It's actually something that I'll carry, and it's not covered in seeds or anything like that. So I was just so excited to find this. And currently they're still selling on Poshmark and eBay and things like that between $400 and $550. So in the event that I do want to sell it, I can, but I'm definitely going to be keeping this for fall because I was just so excited to find it. So that concludes my little story time on my epic find. This is probably one of my best thrift finds ever, and I can't even take credit for it because Katie was just so generous and nice to tell me about this bag and not purchase it herself when she easily could have. It was just such a nice, friendly gesture, especially from like a fellow reseller. So I'm just so appreciative, and I wanted to show you guys this epic thrift find because I know you guys love thrift finds as much as me, so had to show you guys and start this video out with a little story time. Okay, so now down to the good stuff. We are going to talk about my 5 best tips for authenticating designer items while you're at the thrift store. And a lot of times I know a lot of thrift stores, luckily my stores actually do take returns, but I know a lot of thrift stores don't actually take returns. So it's good to be able to authenticate on the spot and try to like make an educated guess while you're in the store before you end up purchasing it and spending money. So I actually have 5 of my top authentication tips. So the first tip is actually to check for the style of the item. So for example, the other day, I wish I still had it, I actually threw it in the trash, but I actually purchased a fake Kate Spade dress. So this applies to apparel, bags, shoes, and everything. Absolutely pretty much everything is faked. But you always have to be super diligent, especially if you're a reseller, that you are always selling and buying authentic items, because people want the real stuff and they don't want to be, you know, lied to or, you know, made to believe that something is real when it's not. So I will never list anything that I'm not 1000% sure is 100% authentic. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to look at the style. So you're going to want to look and see if the brand actually even makes that style, which this isn't always going to be possible if it's like an older style or it is vintage or something like that. But if you can look up the item and you're not really finding any results for current styles that look like that item, then the odds are that it's actually probably fake. So for example, the dress that I found the other day, it was a yellow floral print, and I knew that the label was current. It was actually a real Kate Spade label sewn into a fake dress. So I was looking for this dress and I wasn't able to find any information about it online. And then I realized that, you know, a lot of other factors weren't adding up either. But if you can't find the style of the item, then the odds are that you probably aren't going to be able to authenticate it properly. If you're not finding something that's similar in a different color, or you're not finding that style at all, it may very well be something that has a real tag sewn into a fake item. Okay, and then for tip number 2, you're going to want to check the quality, which I know if you guys ever watch any other authentication videos, this is a very obvious one. If you think about someone purchasing something that is worth, you know, hundreds to thousands of dollars, they're not going to be spending that money on something that's not made out of quality materials. So for example, like if you're buying a current Coach bag or you're buying a Louis Vuitton or things like that, and it's made out of vinyl, the odds are that it's probably fake. So you're gonna wanna see what kind of materials does that designer make things out of to begin with. Because vinyl bags exist, things are made out of faux leather occasionally depending on the style, but you're gonna wanna see what the designer actually makes their items out of. Because if it's not made out of quality materials, the stitching isn't good, and the quality is not there, and it looks like something you would buy, you know, at a very low-end store, then it's probably not something that designer would feel integrity putting out. So you're gonna wanna check always for the quality. Okay, and then tip number 3, I actually have my 2 examples for you over here. You're gonna wanna check for interior tags and codes. So most items that you find that are higher end or designer are going to have a serial number and or a tag inside with an RN number and more information. Sometimes they'll even have a style number. But for example, I was able to authenticate this, and also I was able to find the style online based on this code right here on this tag in my Coach bag. So I was able to Google that code and it actually pulled up this bag on the Coach website. So that was one way I did authenticate this bag. And then the other example I have for you, it's not necessarily a designer item, but this is actually something I have listed in my Poshmark closet that I did thrift. This is an equipment silk blouse. And if you ever want to double check that something wasn't a return or something to Nordstrom Rack or TJ Maxx or something like that, this actually is something that happens sometimes. People will buy an authentic item and return it, basically a fake version of that item to the store. So if you ever want to be 100% sure, you can also Google the RN number. So if you were to Google this RN number on this equipment blouse, you would be able to find information about joie tops as well as equipment. And there's also a database that you can enter this RN number into and find out more information. And then a lot of these items will also have style numbers on them that you're able to pull from. So you always want to check for interior tags and make sure that the interior tag matches with what the item actually is, because this is a common problem, especially for thrifters. People are throwing out stuff that's just not authentic, especially even if you're buying from Nordstrom Rack. You want to make sure you're not getting something that was returned by someone who is breaking the law. All right, and for the next tip for you guys, I actually want to talk to you guys a little bit about finding flaws on your items, which I'm not talking about a stain or things like that, because of course when we're buying pre-owned, there's gonna be little flaws like that that happen on authentic items. But I'm talking about design flaws. So I'm talking about stitching and the way that things are placed on the bag, the way that the hardware is sewn into the purse and things like that. You're gonna wanna check for design flaws, because any designer brand that has any integrity is not going to be putting out a product that has a design flaw, which I touched on this a little bit earlier, but you always want to double check that there aren't any, like, you know, things that are sewn in incorrectly, or there's a big rip in the fabric inside or something like that, because that is an obvious reflection that that brand would not be putting out that product to the public. So you always want to check for any design flaws when you're purchasing in store, when you're thrifting, or if you're buying secondhand for yourself. And then my 5th and final tip for you guys is to always check your odds, which I know that sounds really weird, but where are you? Are you in a Goodwill in the middle of nowhere that has nothing around it? There's nobody really with any money. There's not anyone who would be logically donating that item. The odds aren't good. It's not impossible by any means. I've been in weird little stores that happen to have random donations, but the odds are not high if A, you don't have a distribution center for that store, and also it maybe isn't in a good area. The odds just aren't in your favor, and the odds are actually higher that you'd be finding something that's counterfeit. So you want to check your odds. Where are you? Are you in Dallas, Texas, where there are a ton of people donating their awesome designer finds? Are you in Los Angeles? Your odds are a lot higher in those areas than if you are in like a more rural area where people just wouldn't be donating these things. And after I've been doing this for almost 6 years, I found some amazing donations, things you would never find, unicorn finds that people just don't find at thrift stores. They do exist. Thrifters find them all the time, they exist. But just check where you're shopping, because this is going to be a sure indication that you probably aren't going to be finding new with tags Louis Vuitton or, you know, Gucci at a store in the middle of rural Arkansas, like where I am. So, you know, you need to check where you're shopping. Just make sure maybe that store does have a distribution center, and maybe that donation is coming from a wealthier area of your state. So definitely check where you're shopping. Okay, so those are my top 5 authentication tips. If you guys would like me to find things to do, like an authentication tutorial for you, I of course can look for things to kind of show you guys on my channel and do more in-depth lessons on this, but I just kind of wanted to make this an introduction to buying authentic, selling authentic, and having integrity in your business, and also showing off my awesome thrift find that I'm keeping for myself. But if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And please leave a comment below kind of telling me about your most epic thrift find, because I'd love to hear all about it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.